Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Have You Know Game. I'm John Hunter. Today, I want to let you all know about a really great crowdfunding project over on GameFound.com. It's for a board game called The Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and show you what it's all about. Okay, so here we are on the project page over on GameFound.com. As you can see in the title, this is actually a deluxe reprint. So this game has been out for a little bit. They're just looking to reprint it and make certain improvements so it's an even better game. Currently, it's funding as at just under 230,000 with over 1,500 backers. You have 18 days left to be able to jump in on this project. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at what is offered. The first thing you want to know is that this is a 4X type game. And by 4X, if you're not familiar, the 4X's stand for explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. And the game is basically going to play a lot like some of the PC-based real-time strategy games where you're building up your kingdom using workers, and you create military units to fight battles. And so it has a real nice feel consistent with those lines. One of the great things about this game is that it's got a two-sided board game in the core box. So the first side of the board game is for a 1 to 4 player game. So one thing to note, you can play this game solo. So that's great. If you're someone who has trouble getting a gaming group to be able to come and play, you can still enjoy this. And then if you want to do a 5 to 6 player game, you would flip the board over. Now, the core game itself will only contain 4 factions to play, so you will be limited to a 4-player game if that's all you're going to get. But there's expansions that will allow you to play up to 6 factions in any one sitting. In this game, you're going to have each player playing a different faction. In the core box, the factions are kind of the standard for fantasy genre. So you're going to have humans, orcs, dwarves, and elves. Each of these factions are asymmetrical in the sense that you will have special abilities that you can use during the game that will differ from the other people you are playing with. Now, one thing to note, the actual military pieces, the warrior pieces in this game, they are the same in terms of how they battle, but when you add in using special abilities or spells, that type of thing, that's where you get the difference, and you can have a different strategy based on the faction that you're playing. So one thing you'll see is that this game does use miniatures. I'm not sure the size. My guess is they're a little smaller than 28 millimeter. What's great is you can see in the background here, I'll have another, we'll scroll down to a little better picture, but in the back here, even though it's a little blurred, these miniatures here are painted. That's an option that you can get in this Kickstarter. So if you want the color and you don't feel like painting them yourself, you can choose that option. So another thing that's really cool that I like about this game is that in addition to land units, you're also going to get ships and airships. So if you look at the board game map here, it's a series of islands that you'll be playing from, but this water area also has zones where you can travel and take actions. So that's where the ships come into play. And then, of course, you have airships that will give them special abilities. The way that you're playing this game is you kind of have 2 types of pieces, serfs and then your military units. So you're going to use your serfs to take actions that will help build your empire, like constructing buildings or getting resources. And then you'll have military units that are going to fight your battles. Okay, here is an example of the individual player board. Each player will have their own board. This one has blue up top. The colors change depending on the faction that you're playing. On your turn, you'll be able to take a series of actions, and they sort of split them up. The actions at the top on the left side are actions for building up your kingdom, like recruiting, building, taxation. And then over on the right side are actions for your military units like march, sail, fly. This is where you're going to determine what you're doing each turn. Okay, one of the things I really like about this game is that there's not just one way to win this game. You're not pigeonholed into a military victory for this game. The 4 ways that you can win this game are based on the 4X principle. So explore, expand, exploit, and exterminate. So to get an exploration victory, you need to have the most land exploration tokens. So on the game board, there's different areas. And if you can see in here, there's these little tokens around the map. So if you go into that region, you get to reveal that exploration token and you'll claim that, and it counts towards a possible exploration victory. The next is the expand victory condition, and that happens when you've placed all of your military and surf pieces either on the game board or on your individual player dashboard. The third way to win is the exploit option, which is if you place all 3 of your exploitation towers onto the game map. So if you see here and here, there's 3-dimensional towers that players can put onto the map. And then the fourth way that you can win is exterminate. So if a player destroys another player's capital, which is this square building, then they will win through extermination victory. Here's one of the things that I like about this game as well are these 3-dimensional building pieces. In this photo here, you're looking at your capital building. What's kind of cool about this is it's actually 3 tiers. This is 3 individual pieces. So as you develop your kingdom, you'll first start out with the first level. And as you make progress in your kingdom building, you get to build a bigger and stronger capital building. All right, so let's go and talk about the game contents. If you're just getting the core box, that's going to contain the map board, which will have 4 islands, so you can play a 1 to 4 player game. You're going to get miniatures for each of the 4 factions. So you're going to get 3 hero miniatures with each faction. You'll get 5 warrior miniatures and 12 surf miniatures. So again, as I mentioned earlier, you'll get the humans, you'll get the orcs, dwarves, and elves. Each of them are uniquely designed. They have a different look, so that's always cool. In addition to the factions, you're going to get the buildings. So these are your capital buildings with the 3 different tiers that you build on top of each other. You get the towers. Now all of these pieces here will come unassembled. So when you first get the game, you will have to assemble them. And one tip that I've heard is that you may want to consider putting a little bit of glue on them to hold them in place so that you don't have to worry about them either falling apart or reassembling them. In addition to the buildings, you're going to get unique looking ships for traversing on the water, and then these flying airships for each faction. You'll get hero cards, so each of the heroes in your faction are going to have special abilities. The cards will tell you what those do. 4 unique player boards, they're going to have different information on them, which creates the asymmetry you're looking for in your game. Tactics cards, exploration tokens, all of them have really neat, colorful artwork. 15 resource tokens, 60 mini spell cards, faction tokens, and a first player token. So that's what you get in the core box. Now, the next option of product that you can get is the Order and Chaos expansion box. So this is actually going to come with an additional board section. So this will add a 5th and 6th island for you to play on. So this faction is going to give you the ability to play those 5 and 6 player games. The cool thing about this expansion is that you're going to get 4 new factions. You're going to get skeletons, lion folk, lizard folk, and goblins. And then of course you'll get unique buildings, the castles, the towers, the ships, and the airships, all of them with designs unique to their faction. And then you're going to get some more of the hero cards, player boards, faction resource tokens. This comes with soul tokens. Okay, next is the Pestilence expansion. So this is actually going to only give you 2 more factions. But what's cool is it gives you a floating continent with stands that elevate this island above the actual game player board. And these factions are going to be a bird folk faction, and then you're going to get what looks like a merfolk or sea-based creature faction. And as with the previous expansion, you're going to get the buildings, 2 castles, 2 towers. You're going to get the ships and the airships and the player boards and all of the different things that you've seen in the previous box components that will match these 2 new expansions. Okay, this image here kind of shows you how this floating island sits on the board. So it's designed so that it kind of fits in the cross waterway of the 4 islands of your regular board. The only problem I see with this is if you're sitting down here playing on this island, it would seem to me that this is going to be a visual block of what is happening on the island on the other side. So maybe that's not an issue when you're actually sitting down, but just kind of looking at that, that's my only concern with this product being elevated above the player board. Okay, here's another picture that gives a little better view of some of the painted miniatures compared to the unpainted version. So take a look at this and see if going with the painted option is something that you want to do and spend your money on. Okay, so in addition to those factions that you can get in the core game and the 2 expansions I've already talked about, there's additional add-ons where you can add more game pieces and expand your gameplay experience. This one here is Mercenary Expansion Pack add-ons. It's sold in packs 1, 2, and 3. So the mercenaries are going to be special units that you can hire to help fight for your kingdom. The Dice Tutorial is an app that you can run on your tablet or your phone, and it is going to supplement the rule book. And what's really great about this is it will actually walk you through your first playthrough of the game, which I think is brilliant. It's going to help you just jump in and get to enjoy this game. I would like to see more board games come out with this sort of offering. In addition, they're also going to provide a free companion app that will give you a rules reference, a scores calculator, and some other functionality. So this is going to be really handy. Now, as I look this over, I don't think that this is mandatory to play the game. I think it's optional just to help you be able to get through the game easier. Another thing that they are providing is a good bit of lore on all these really unique factions. So if you're someone who likes a good storyline involved in your games, they're providing you with that background as well. So it helps you to generate that theme that you're looking for to improve your enjoyment of the game. The other reason why I'm really excited about this crowdfunding project is because I think this project is probably one of the best designed crowdfunding projects I've seen. Not only do they provide plenty of pictures to show you all the different stuff that's going to come in the game, but they have also provided some videos that are really helpful in helping you make that decision to buy this game. The first of those are game reviews. They actually were able to get Tom Vassell from the YouTube channel, The Dice Tower, to do a game review for this product. If you're unfamiliar, Tom Vassell is like the godfather of board gaming when it comes to YouTube's, particularly with providing game reviews. So he gives a very detailed review and his thoughts on the game. And a little spoiler alert, he's obviously highly recommending this game. He finds it to be very fun, but I do recommend watch that video, give him a like to show your support for him providing you a lot of information on that game. And if you enjoyed that review from Tom, there's also several other reviews of the different products, like some of the expansions that you can also check into if those items are interesting you and you want to get some more information. All of these are really good videos, so I recommend checking those out as well. In addition to all those game review videos you'll have access to on the project page, They've also provided a great video from Rodney over at How to Play, where he's going to show you exactly how to set up the game and how to play each of the rounds, all the different actions you can take. He'll give a better defined explanation about the win conditions. So if you're not familiar with Rodney's and his videos, he puts out tons of how to play. He is the central resource, in my opinion, if you're into board gaming, to teach you how to play these games and everything you need to know. So check this out. It'll really give you a great feel for exactly what you're going to be doing in this game. Okay, let's talk about the actual reward tiers, what it's going to cost to get into this game and back this project. Well, firstly, they are displaying their epic deal. So for just under $300, they are offering everything, all of the products in this project. So the core game, the Chaos and Order expansion, the Pestilence expansion, and then all those add-ons we've talked about. You will get everything that they have for this game for $300. They're saying it's about 30% off. So if you're really into it, this could be a great deal for you. They have an all new stuff deal. So if you're someone who already owns this game, you can grab these items that will complete your collection that you may already have. Now, if you're looking to just get started, you can just go with the core box. You'll get the 4 factions. This is going to cost $85, which to me, it's a game that's going to have a bunch of miniatures and 3-dimensional buildings being under $100. To me, I think that's going to be a great game, a great deal. The next offering, they have what they call their amazing deal. So this will get you the core game box with the 4 factions and the Order and Chaos expansion to get those 4 additional factions. Now, my opinion personally, I think this is the sweet spot, at least for me. I don't have this game. This looks like a really great option because you're going to get 8 factions to play with. Now, of course, it's only up to a 6-player game, so you won't use all of them at the same time, but the Order and Chaos has some really cool factions, as I've shown. So I think that this is going to be a really good option for a lot of people. Now, if you also want to get the Pestilence expansion, in addition to the core and the Order and Chaos expansion, you've got this, what they call their insane deal. So you can get that. And then if you're someone who already has the core game, but none of the other stuff, you've got their epic deal, the no core game option, which basically gets you everything else that they're offering except for the core game box. Okay, before we wrap up, let's real quick talk about shipping. You always got to remember about the shipping when you're looking at that price point. So make sure you're checking out your shipping. The shipping is broken up based on whichever reward tier that you're looking at getting. So make sure you're checking the right column. And it depends on which country you're in. So you can see this list is very long where they're willing to ship this game. I will point out, if you're not familiar with ROW, that's rest of the world. So if you do not see your country listed in here, then ROW is going to be for you. Now, just to summarize this chart, depending on the tier that you're getting and your country, you're looking at paying anywhere from $18 to $50 for shipping. Obviously, the price goes up when you're getting the bigger reward tier packages that are going to have a lot of products in it. Now, if you're in the rest of the world, you're going to pay quite a bit for shipping. You can pay anywhere from $90 all the way up to $345 for the Epic Deal package. So that's pretty hefty. Hopefully, most of you are falling into these countries and don't have to worry about that. Okay, lastly, I just want to point out, you may have noticed I didn't say anything about stretch goals, and that's because this project is not offering any stretch goals. They're just going with their funding and what they get. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, they're up around $230,000. So this project is well above what they need to fund, so it will go forward. Okay, so that's my overview of Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea. Hopefully, this has made you as excited about this project as I am. I do plan to back this project at the level where you get the core game box and the Chaos and Order expansion. Like I said, I think that's the sweet spot. It's going to give you a lot of gameplay. And there are some add-ons like card sleeves and maybe the mercenaries that interest me. We'll see what happens down the road. If you have any questions about this, feel free to leave it in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And with that, I'm going to wrap up. You will have a great day of gaming and take care.